Now, civil rights groups in the U.S. say hate crimes against minority groups have increased since the November presidential election. Many critics blame the campaign rhetoric of President-elect Donald Trump for the increases. This is while Human Rights Watch in its annual report has issued a warning that the rise of populist leaders like Trump is a threat to democracy.
On January 20th, Donald Trump will officially swear in as the 45th President of the United States. According to a recent Reuters Ipsos poll, he won the race to the White House with less support from minorities than any of his predecessors in at least 40 years. Trump was criticized for his harsh rhetoric on Mexican migrants, Muslims, and other minority groups. He called for banning Muslims from entering the United States and promised to build a wall on the border with Mexico. Following the surprise victory of Trump in the November election, civil rights groups and the police have recorded an increase in the number of racist and xenophobic attacks against the minorities. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks hate crimes across the United States, has reported more than 400 incidents between the election day on November 8th and November 14th, targeting blacks and other people of color, Muslims, and immigrants. The Islamic Center of America also reported attacks on Muslim women for their outfit.
There have been some women that have been assaulted because of their hijab. Remarks have been made to them. Some women have had their hijab pulled, and there has been some threatening talk to some of the women in our community.
Several mosques across the U.S. have so far reported being vandalized. Black students at the University of Pennsylvania also say they're afraid of attending classes after they were subjected to racial slurs and threats of lynching following the presidential election. In its annual report, Human Rights Watch said Trump came to power by fomenting hatred and intolerance.
Donald Trump's successful presidential campaign vividly illustrated this politics of intolerance. Sometimes overtly, sometimes through code and indirection, he spoke to many Americans' discontent with economic stagnation and an increasingly multicultural society in a way that breached basic principles of dignity and equality.
The rights group cited the election of Donald Trump as the next U.S. president, along with the rise of populist politicians in Europe, as a great threat to democracy.
The global rise of populists poses an extraordinarily dangerous threat to human rights. Human rights exist to protect people from governments. Yet today, a new generation of populists is reversing that role. Claiming to speak for the people, they treat rights as an impediment to the majority will, a needless obstacle to defending the nation from perceived threats and evils.
The United States was already dealing with the biggest wave of Islamophobic and racist hate crimes before the 2016 presidential election. Now, with Donald Trump rising to power, many fear that the situation might get worse.